What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? Day traders, cloud swing traders. Hope you guys doing absolutely fantastic. We got Albert in the house. Good morning to you. Good morning to Amy and Bill. DK in the house. Good morning to Frank, Georgia. Good morning to GWJ, Joe, Justin, Marius, Martina. We got Mike. Good morning to Rob, Tim, Wendy. You guys are piling in. BEA, beautiful. We got Mustafa in the house in YouTube land. Good morning to you, Clarice. Good morning, all my lurkers in the background of YouTube. It's okay. I still love you. Hit that like and subscribe button. Yeah, wild day. We didn't give back the earnings from CPI. PPI, different story. We gave it back. We were going through this in the master group as well. But SPY on PPI day was a little bit of a retest. This has definitely, there's still bullish sentiment from PPI. Nothing really changed there. We did come down. We retested previous VPOC. The power of the gap on the SPY, nothing short of incredible. So nice little gap up there above a whole bunch of different resistance zones that we would have on the charts. Also above the 100, and then as soon as we started getting through 591.54 off to the races, and we got all the way pretty much into the targets we were calling. We were calling slightly higher. So to be fair, I missed it by like 24 cents. But we were like, yeah, honestly, this market's got a lot of room in it. It's got some room to go, even as we were just kind of, it was a slow move in the market yesterday. It was big gap up and just follow through. But the follow through did not disappoint, at least if you were bullish. If you were bearish, you probably got your face ripped off. So watch out for somewhere in this 594.24 zone. We still have a little bit more room to the higher side. If we can break through that, I do think this continues. I got the next spot all the way up to 598.64 on the SPY. Retail numbers came in. They were okay. It wasn't nothing crazy. Nothing I think that would affect really the market in general. So everything's kind of just hanging out at this point. But inside day, probably a little bit of a retest gap at open. Maybe we give it a little bit back. 593.17 would be a good spot to want to hold some kind of support there. We did sell off a little bit. So we're still now back kind of under some of those previous levels where we could get maybe slammed down again, and this entire thing was just an absolute bull trap. But for right now, still looks decent. We're not trapped yet if you are bullish. And then if you can break through that 593.17 zone, that would probably take you into 591.83. That's about 50% retracement. If you made, here's a warning for some people. If you've made um like an absolute ton of money yesterday, be cautious today. I know the one day somebody makes a lot of money. Just be very, very careful getting in the next day. Make sure that you're leaving your over exuberant happiness at the door as soon as the bell rings, because the next day after big wins, at least from my trend, but what people have also told me is like, man, every time you guys can probably type a quick one if that's happened to you. You guys have a massive win, and then the next day it's like the absolute struggle bus, and you're like, what's happening, right? So don't give your gains back. Be very careful. Be trading with a purpose. Quite understand where you're at. Amy says one, Tim says one. Yeah, it's happened to me. Bill says one. A lot of times it has nothing to do with the market, but the market moves a lot, and you're probably going to move, I would assume, a little bit slower today, but yet we come in with the same aggressiveness we might have had yesterday, and the equation just doesn't work out. So be very careful. Leonard, good morning to you as well. We'll see. Let's take a look at real quick at Qs. Qs, uh, they are a little bit stronger than the SPY. Just in the fact that we are gapping outside of the candle, this is still a retest from yesterday. We're still opening into resistance. I think, again, be cautious. I think buying at open. I think see if you could get a little bit of a pullback on this one. That pullback might not be huge. First stop I'm looking for is about 517.56. The real retest spot, if you can get down to, is about 516.98. If we could hold that level, terrific. And then maybe set up for tomorrow for some kind of a little bit of a bigger bounce. And then tomorrow again, I don't know how the market wants to go. We have a lot of options expiring tomorrow. A lot of options expiring tomorrow. So we'll have to see how that kind of affects the volume, volatility. But then we're also going into a four day trading week next week. So Monday the markets are closed for MLK Day. We also have the inauguration on Monday too, so a lot happening early next week. So just be cautious today. Just trade setups that you would normally take, but don't get too aggressive. Don't feel out of your head when trading. Always good advice. So right now, and in the queues, if we could break some of these levels, key level to break would be 518.84, and then I think the next strong resistance today, 521.06, and we'll see if we can kind of pile our way up into that. So still relatively bullish. We're not trapped quite yet. If this is going to set up as one bigger, longer term bull trap, so far the trap hasn't happened, and I'd stay in the direction of that momentum where we can. TLT, a little bit of a great day for TLT in terms of gap wise. Not much follow through. Ended a high wave indecision candle. We're already below yesterday's VPOC, so not as strong here. This one probably has the ability for a little bit of a bigger pullback. Again, also, are we in a bearish market? I don't know. I mean, TLT is when you get into a bearish sentiment, bearish setup, a lot of times you will get big rips and they end up just kind of fading and ends up creating new lower lows. Not saying we're going to create newer lower lows until it happens, but very low end of yesterday's candle. I would assume that just the fact that we're opening inside, TLT probably bounces at open, runs into this 86.68, decent spot for at least risk reward to go short, play the fade into like $86, 86.01. Potential to come all the way back here eventually, back down to 85.16, but I don't think that happens today. So we'll see. All right, let me know if you guys got some tickers that you guys want to take a look at. Uh, AVGO is the first one I'm seeing. So AVGO, we got Broadcom, a nice little Gaparuski on this one in a bullish direction. U.S. chip stocks rise after TSMC, so it's a TSM for us. Let's check out TSM, how they do real quick, and we'll come back. TSM, really good gap on that one. Looks like earnings didn't really reflect it. We missed on earnings per share by a little bit, but they did come in. They did beat on revenue by 19 million. So I'd say smaller beat on revenue, but they kind of held up. This one's also kind of running into some kind of resistance around 219.88. So we'll see if this one wants to continue up higher. Otherwise, it is a retest gap. I think I'm going to put TSM on the list for fade. I think there's probably going to be some people wanting to take some gains. Maybe not right here, but if we could make some kind of a bullish pop, I wouldn't mind actually looking for a fade on that one. There is a plenty of room on it. Get back to AVGO, knowing that we're kind of moving off of a little sympathy. Do we have any resistance coming into this one? Yeah, a little bit more of a gap and go. Maybe 2 days of a little bit of selling pressure. Even with that, I don't think the selling pressure was that strong. Yesterday was opening and closing higher than the previous day. So not a crazy gap and go. Running into a little resistance somewhere around 235.32. So watch that spot. I think I would rather and if this one does fade, it's also got some decent room to it. But I think I would rather fade the TSM over AVGO. There's not a lot of support on TSM. AVGO, you'd have to be a little concerned with 232.87. If that starts to break, you could probably see a bigger pullback, but you have a few other multiple levels in there that you could get stuck on. I think you just have a bigger range on TSM if you want to go short on it. If you want to go long, I'm not going long here. Get me above 235.40. Get me in that range, and then I think I have a decent amount of room to 237.92. But at least TradingView is telling me that we're moving off of a little sympathy from TSM. Tesla, Tessie. So we were in this trade yesterday, and then I just moved so slow. I got bored. We got to the 420. I had to go hang out with the group we're teaching to. So I was like, I can't really monitor this thing. We were right at that 420-ish level, kind of rejecting it a little bit. So I took my gains at 419.95, only to cry lots and lots of tears later when I was like, I think we get to this 430 zone. I think we could hit this one. we like all day. I was like, I don't know. There's nothing really stopping us. Why don't we go higher? And then just went exactly to where we thought it would go, and then kind of rejected. So now, good news, bad news. Good news. Well, yesterday, if you guys hung in there long enough, some of you guys did. There was one. I had one more report from somebody in the master group. Like, yeah, I just paid for the entire group already. Like, is wild. And that was we had class 4. We got 20 more classes left. It's crazy. But we'll see. Otherwise you got so that's 2 down. I love it. Otherwise, we got Tesla right into the resistance yesterday. That's going to be another spot to break if we can push up higher. We could probably break it. The next target for me somewhere around is 432.02. So fantastic there if we could get higher, but not as much room to the higher side. Inside day candle. It was a massive breakout into that resistance. I don't know that I'm comfortable shorting it yet. If I do short, it's going to go down to like 417.76. Uh, but there is also a little bit of support somewhere around $422 as well. So a little iffy. I don't know if today, again, this might be one of those Tesla made a big move and this chart is lying to us. I don't know if you guys even noticed, but this chart is lying to us. Pre-market, we were actually down to this like 394.60 zone, 395 zone. So all of this gap happened all pre-market. So this is a relatively massive move, even bigger than this chart shows. There might be some people, again, cautious people taking some profits. Might not just have a big day either direction for Tesla, but um, I'd have to wait for a big move one way or the other, and then try to play the fade. I don't think I could do much out of the open unless we get a tight setup. That's probably the only way. If I can get a tight setup, quick momentum play. I don't want to be in this one all day today. Um, so grab a probably 1.2 in either direction. You got Nvidia. Nice little gap up. Also retest gap. You got some kind of decent resistance coming in at 138.99. If you could break through that, I don't know that we can today, but if you can, that'll get you to about 140.16. Probably also a little sympathy off of TSM, I would assume. But this is a retest gap. I don't think I was short here. I would see if we can get a little bit higher, at least a minimum 138.60, but as close as you possibly get to 138.93, and then look to play this fade. If it does give us a good candle, high wave candle, something like that, it might be worth the attempt. First level of resistance, probably somewhere around 136.92. If you could break through that, 136.40, and then the true retest. And I don't know if we come in for this true retest today, maybe 135.49 would be the next spot I would be looking for like a stretch target for today. So we'll see. But a little bit of chop. I think this retest might hold into that resistance, and I'll probably be looking to not get too crazy bullish on that one. Palantir, PLTR. Palantir. We got little gap and go, kind of. Yesterday again was opening and closing higher than the previous day. You might have a little bit of room on this one though. First resistance comes back here. I don't know how dominant of a resistance this is going to be, but 69.48. Otherwise, right into that $70 range with potential targets up to like $70.81. Probably still, even though this is a red candle, I would still like to see a pullback on this one. Give me better risk reward coming to like the 68.53 zone. If we could manage to get there, fantastic. I think it's worth the attempt in a bullish direction. It does have a lot of room, but yeah, give me a pullback on that one first. I do kind of like that one. Has some decent room on it. We got Amat, AMAT. That one's gapping up right into the 200 EMA. Is this a sympathy off of yep. That's also sympathy off of TSM. Kind of raising everything up, but this one I hate Amat. I just hate them. I just don't like them. They're probably a good company. They're probably good people. So maybe I take that back. But what I think should happen tends to not happen on this one. So take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt, or just takes a whole day and does a whole bunch of nothing and you get stuck in it. That's been my experience. Other than that, I think you have the 200 possibly as a great resistance. You have a couple levels of really good resistance. We're gapping into all of that. Even though we're above this previous pivot, you have 3 days of buying. Three days of people being profitable. You also have possible continuation of a wave count. I think this one might be one of my favorite potential shorts. As soon as you start clearing this 200, or if you, I wouldn't go short if it's above that 200, but um, it has a lot of room to the downside, a lot of room on it. I just get like memories from trades where I just sit there and I'm like, do something as the rest of the market's moving. We move two pennies at a time. But I do have to put that on the list. I think that looks like a decent spot for some people to take some gains. I think if I was in this one, I would probably take some gains there, but we'll see. Netflix did get an upgrade today, so Netflix coming in hot and heavy with some upgrades. They have earnings right around the corner. We have from Zach's, is Netflix a must-buy? Tech stock down 10% from its highs. Stop it. You must buy it. You've got no choice. The world will end if you do not. Be very cautious. You do have earnings coming out January 21st. So Tuesday after the bell, that's going to be a big one. Lots of eyes on this one. Again, retest gap. I think some emotions are starting to play out now on the table, so you might get some reaction either direction. I would like this one to pull back into 484.70. I don't know if I have a real reason to short this thing here, so I wouldn't play this fade. The only way I could probably play this fade, and again, you're just arbitrarily throwing numbers out, but maybe a stop above this candle from January 10th. I have nothing else really in here that will give me a good stop placement, but that's a try. It's an attempt. The real stop placement should be up somewhere closer to about 182.20, and it's just way too far away. But if this one wants to fade, we got some positivity. We got some news coming out. If we could get the pullback, which I won't be a part of that short, but I will look to go long somewhere around $849.19. The closer I can get to that, the better. And then maybe I'd have to be in this thing for a very short time since Tuesday. The worst case, I hold it till Tuesday in hopes that we get some buying that comes in just ahead of earnings. We might not be in that same market we were a couple months ago where that's a strong play like it used to be. So kind of just on the fence about that one until you actually get some kind of break. And even if you break that candle from a couple days ago, you got now the resistance starting to pile in. UPS, UPS would be gapping up a little bit. I wanted this one to stay down here for like another 2 weeks. I did want to add this one to the long term. Stop gapping up. Stop it. Great long-term support. You even had a mini double bottom in here. Where's the volume coming in? That bullish candle. All those bulls are excited. Those bulls are excited. You had some volume start pushing into the zone. A little bit of interest. So I think it looks good, maybe for some continuation. But you do have some resistance up here at 129.31. One day of strong buying, 2 days strong buying, a little bit of resistance. This, even though it's a high wave indecision, probably will be your retest spot. So if you get a pullback, watch it. Again, maybe not today, but if you could kind of come into 127.45, I think that's a decent spot to look to buy. But we would have to kind of fade first. So I think again, I think this is a fade. I don't know. I want to join like the momentum of the market and be like, yeah, let's go bullish, bully. SMY. Maybe this is it. Jay's talking about the short float already. So. Do we squeeze symbiotics? Biotech. Symbiotics. Oh, no, it's not biotech. Hold on a second. Producer manufacturer. Okay. All right. Interesting. 38% short float above the VWAP. Yeah, I mean, this is up a lot. The only reason I think I would play this one is because that beautiful looking 38% short float. Let's add this one to the list. We'll put it up higher. The news might be baked into this one already, and there's a lot of people kind of that are on the short side of this one, so they might be kind of numb to this type of gap. It is pretty big. But maybe a retest into that 200 would give you a good buying spot off of it. Let's throw that down here. You're at one level of resistance. The next one, you got a few levels in here they've all been messed with, but really the next immediate level, I'd say 34.30, and then you could have some room up to 36.32. So that'd be a lot of room if you could get it. That's a absolutely massive move if it happens. You also have a lot of volume in here, tons and tons of volume in this candle. Gap down, maybe some people hanging out through this. You might trap with some decent amount of bears. There's 38% of them. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that one. I'll watch that to go bullish. Clarice says Sofi. Let's take a look at that one. So far, we're going through the banking numbers, banking earnings coming out. So SoFi probably gets the benefit of that. We don't have earnings on actual SoFi until January 27th, so not this Monday, next Monday. Again, just like a lot of things, one, two, three bullish days in a row into some resistance up here. I don't mind SoFi as a company. I think longer term they probably do have some room higher. I had a really nice options play on it from back here, um, and we just sold out on this candle. So I no longer have positions in SoFi. I am hoping for a bigger dip. I don't know. Maybe that was the dip. But otherwise, for today, again, do I want to run in and just absolutely buy some SoFi up? Probably not. $15.87 is the first resistance. Secondary is 15.91. I think if we do make any push at open, we probably run into that, and then it's a fade down to, I would assume, 15.47. When we have to watch if we can kind of break down through some of those moving averages. Interestingly enough, I think we did break out of this downward channel. I would have the channel something like this. So really nice gap on SoFi yesterday. We get in the continuation. We probably do this more likely. You have almost a gap down here. So I think longer term, you do this, and then if you're going to bounce, something like that. Yeah, I'm out of my leaps. Yep. I have no SoFi left. I locked in gains. I locked in the gains somewhere right around this. I don't know. We were up like what 200% or something, 150%. I forget 180%. But yeah, I locked in gains somewhere right around the zone, pretty much where we're at now. So if you missed a message I threw out in Slack, Lucian, if you do have positions, you could get in. I just didn't. So a few things. This is the main reason I sold. I think this company would do really good in rate cut environments. I think eventually we still get the rate cuts, but we're sitting there with options. We had till January 2026, so plenty of time left on those contracts. Um, but I didn't like that narrative switching from JPAL, of like we're gonna start getting less potential rate cuts, and we got to see what happens. So I didn't like the narrative as much that he was putting out. I think that was going to affect the financials. So I was like, you know what, take my gain, and then if this thing, we still in the markets, we don't have to go crazy bullish this year. We've just had two crazy bullish years. I would expect probably a little bit more chop for a majority of this year. But if you're going to start changing the narrative, which I think would be really positive, I'm going to lock my gains. If there's pullbacks, I'll look to try to get in. You said you closed half, so yours are free. Yep. You have plenty of time on the contracts. I don't want to scare anybody out, but for me, I sold, I think I had three of them, and that paid for the entire position. So I had seven other contracts on the table, and they were all up absolutely massive. On this day, I was like, all right, let me just lock some gains. Google, the Googlies. The Googles. Mm. Shopzilla zone. So nothing too crazy. It is a gap down. We're about 50%, 618 of yesterday's candle. What I don't like on this one is you are also I would have liked it if we could open somewhere above 195.83. We're on the lower side of that one. You're still gonna have a little bit of support potentially coming in. Watch this zone right here, 195, 195.07. If you could get there, you might have a decent bullish trade. Stops would be underneath the low of the day. But you're gonna have to get back up through some of that resistance. Targets to the high side, I'd be looking for like 197.36. We're just kind of in this range. We do have a little bit of maybe pennant pattern setting up on Google. I think longer term Google still probably goes higher, but I think we're kind of just looking at something like this until we actually get that break this way or this way. But yeah, for an edge for day trading, I don't know if it's gonna have too much momentum on it. CLF. Pre-market, we're pretty much opening exactly where we technically gap and go, I guess. We're up a penny if that's where we open. But really good breakout candle, 2 resting days. I think your play on this one is some kind of bullish entry, probably above here. You're trying to look for a better price, maybe about 50% retracement if it pulls back. But I think that's your bullish sentiment. You have 2 days consolidation. You probably would get a nice little push if you could break out of there. Or at least that would be your confirmation. If you want to try to come in lower, I would see if you get at least a pullback into 1006, or you have really untested VPOX down to like 988. So could have a deeper pullback. I don't think I would aggressively try to get into this one. They are going to be news based around what the deal is with X, and we'll see what happens. But for right now, not a lot of edge, at least. If you're in it for a swing trade, it looks like hold the fort, nothing too crazy quite yet. I missed Square, and what do we got? Like 2 minutes left, minute 37. For Square, hanging out inside day candle. I think this one will probably pull back into about 85.04. You have your resistance up to 85.94. So not much range in right where we're opening. I'd either let this thing go higher or lower first before doing anything. If you like it to the short side, wait to see if you get 590 85.94. You're going to have to now break down that 85 and then you have a lot of room. If you like it to the bull side, if you think this is a longer term bounce, watch for at least 85.04. I would love to get this thing at 82.91, but um, might have to be patient. They've had a big drop off the highs. Big drop as of recently, so we'll see on that one. Let's see TSM. TSM we did take a look at. I think this is a fade opportunity. I'm looking to go short as long as we're not above. So I want to short anywhere below 220.02. Other than that, the bell is about to ring. So everybody at YouTube land, I apologize if I did not get to your tickers. If I missed one somewhere, it happens. But there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow might be your lucky day. This is just how I bring people back. That's it. That's all I'm really trying to do here. Other than that, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe buttons in YouTube. It just helps the algos and also helps share content with people that might find it useful. Otherwise, you guys are awesome, and I'll catch you guys later. Later, guys.